Turkey is a country that international investors are used to treating with regard, well, used to considering in the light of the Syria war, the fight against the Kurds, increasing levels of terrorist attack taking place in the country. So with all of that in mind, with that as the backdrop, how much does the coup that happened over the weekend change the game for investors, do you think, with regards to Turkey?
Well, as you said, I mean, Turkey is in the middle of quite a hot geopolitical geography, important geography. And remember that Turkey has had previously 3 coups and one what they call a soft coup before. And so this was, despite of that, this came as a shock to all of us on Friday night. However, what I do think is that, look, it's inevitable that the markets will have short-term turmoil. You know, lira and lira assets will suffer. But I think you're supposed to take a look at a little bit of a long-term view when you're looking at investing in Turkey. As you know, this is what we do. And in that regard, the silver lining seems to be that the government, the different political parties, as well as the people, stood up to what was going to be obviously a very anti-democratic movement. Look, I mean, at this day and age, I think coups are very kind of old news. You know, the fact that the silver lining is that the fact that the people and different political parties stood up to this is a good thing for Turkey in the long term. However, you know, we'll have to see how the Erdogan administration, or rather the AKP administration and President Erdogan plays this. The rhetoric is going to be extremely important in terms of being able to bring the people together, gel the people together back again. And in terms of investor sentiment,
that thought, I want to bring in our other guest, which is Carsten Nichols, Senior Vice President at TANTO. Carsten, when we listen to what Ozan is saying there, I think globally, one would have to say that we've seen Erdogan's response. His words are, he talks about a new Turkey. He talks about a gift from God in terms of what he's seen. This is a president which has squashed this putsch and seems to be literally rounding people up, 6,000 people rounded up into prison, and there is talk about the return of the death penalty. This is a fairly aggressive play to thwart any pushback against him, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the overall topic, the overall goal for Erdogan actually hasn't changed. And that is to redraw the constitution of Turkey, to turn the political system into an executive presidency, to focus political power in his own hands. And I think that has been the long-running goal. And if anything, Friday's events will probably help him. So I think the real risk from the market's perspective here is over the medium term that, you know, badly needed economic reform in Turkey is really just nowhere to be seen because the political leadership is so busy with this long-term goal of redrafting the constitution. And if anything, I think we're going to see an even greater focus on that going forward.
Carsten, how is he going to establish an executive presidency then, Erdogan? Do you see the need for elections? Because we've heard some comments from the government today playing down the likelihood of elections in the near term.
Well, the fundamental problem for Erdogan has always been that he doesn't control the necessary majority in parliament. Whether you achieve this through elections or you're betting on other members of other parties in parliament joining his AKP, that remains to be seen. But I think that fundamentally the risk of snap elections is something that we need to keep an eye on, definitely, because the goal will be to cash in on this massive popular support that Erdogan has been seeing since Friday.